Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Thunderstock Show. It's a collection of valuable brainstorms to enhance your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of property. Today's special guest is a fellow Pennsylvania resident, Vlad Tayman. Vlad has decades of experience in the trading industry. He is the founder of Trader Foundation, where he helps hardworking professionals grow their income without sacrificing their lifestyle. And can't wait to dive into some conversations. But before we do that, Vlad, my first question for you is, what did you want to be when you grew up, when you're in school?
When I was in school, that's a good question. But before we get into that, I just want to say you have a great show, man. I listened to a few episodes and really enjoy it. I think you bring a lot of value to a lot of people, especially ones that have lives that are full of career and full of craziness. You show them really how to relieve that and give them the freedom, which is awesome. So really appreciate anybody who's listening. Give this gentleman 5 stars on his podcast because he definitely deserves it and spreads the word.
Too kind. Appreciate that.
No problem, man. As far as what I wanted to be when I grew up, honestly, I was always had a passion for training and developing and helping. I remember when I was a little kid, I actually originally from Ukraine, so I came here as an immigrant, lived everywhere. I don't know if you're familiar how that whole thing works, but coming from a different country at the time, there was no freedom. You could just leave, and you had to
Mm.
I had to go to live in Italy actually for 6 months before that, where they do a lottery. And if you win the lottery, you get to go to the United States. If you don't, you have to go to Israel, and Israel will take everybody because they have to fight a war. So it's basically they get soldiers. So
And how long ago was that? Because I know recently with the conflict and the war going on, that everyone, technical difficulty, we're back. We're basically just talking about a time where Ronald Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. And that's one of the things that led Vlad over here.
yeah, and I remember when coming here, it was like a fantasy world. Like nobody really believed. Like you couldn't tell anybody in the country that you're gonna be there, that you're leaving. It's not allowed. And I actually had to change my last name because they were letting Jews go only. So there was almost like a trade-off. Like we'll give you the Jews, you give us food. So my last name was very Ukrainian, Russian at that time. That time it was only Russia. So I had to change my name to my mom's side. So that way I could be a 100% proven Jew to be able to leave.
What in the world? So
Yeah,
they're only letting Jewish people go.
only jet lit. Yep. So if are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah.
He has this literally, we were like on the same boat basically, maybe within a few boats of each, like, same kind of story with him as well. If you listen to his, yeah. So, and
No way. So same
yeah,
time.
yeah, but but the thing about like him, the hunger to make it is, it's like we fought to come to this country and, and literally I lived in Austria to Italy to Poland just to get here. It was like I went to school there, everything, but just to get to this place with no money anyways, but just, it's like the promised land. And that's why a lot of times, like, I remember my parents telling me, look, we brought you here. Like, we don't know what we're going to be doing, but you got to make something. We took everything. We just dropped everything just so you don't have to be in that country. And we talk about it now with everything that happened. Imagine if I was still there, like, the whole, I'm from Kiev, which is the capital, is
Yeah.
destroyed. It's 100% destroyed.
So was your mother Jewish and your father was not, or something else?
My dad was Jewish. No, my dad was Jewish, but the last name, he was a little different. So I had to change the last name, basically.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so it was very convincing, basically. I mean, I wasn't legitimately Jewish, but if they have to look into it, it becomes very corrupt.
You don't want any more bottlenecks than traveling all across Europe
No,
to get over here.
no. But if somebody, and there's no freedom of speech at the time there either. So I don't know how it is now, but if you say something, they could like, oh, you don't know. We don't talk about America. Like it's a crazy, crazy place at the time, at least.
Yeah,
So
I had during COVID-19 era, so 2020, I had a friend that was immigrated here from Poland,
yeah.
and she remembers what that time period was like, and she goes, everyone here complaining about the grocery store and only being able to have so much toilet paper. She's like, just go back to where I'm from. This is every day. Like the supply chain shortages. It's like you guys are just spoiled.
Yeah, and but it's crazy because here's when you live in like a communist country, everybody's kind of the same. We get the same. Everybody makes the same. Like It's like school is free, college is free, but once you get out, it's not like you're still making the same as everybody else. So it's
Mm,
coming from that to a country like this, it's like an opportunity. It's like, wait a minute, I could put my mind to something and
yeah.
make it work. And I think that's why a lot of immigrants like Gary, like I look at him a lot just because the guy's a workhorse, but it's because we came here knowing that, hey, this is your shot. We did all this to get to this promised land. You better make it happen. You better make something out of yourself. And it's like you appreciate that so much because we literally, all you have to do is work hard and you'll get to where you want to be. Like you're on this podcast because you made a decision to do it.
Yeah, man, the American dream is something that I feel like people have to believe in a dream or else it does not become real. If you
Yeah.
believe that you're toast and you can't change your life and you can't make it, then you're probably going to be right. But if you believe in the idea of the American dream, which is you'll be rewarded for your contribution to the marketplace and you have the freedom to pursue your mission, your whatever you want to do. That's who I want to talk to. I think that's who you want to talk to. And I love how this podcast is starting off with the story. So
Yeah.
so you were a young man with a dream.
Yeah, well, I really have felt like I had no choice. I had to make something because it wasn't even like, Eastern European parents, Eastern European culture is, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's
No
it. You have
no
no choice.
smiling at pictures,
No.
no stopping on the street, talk to your neighbor. Hey, how you doing? How's the weather?
Yeah, it was just we came from a miserable country at the time, so that's kind of what it was. But when I got here, at some point I did move a lot. I went through 16 schools just because very unstable. Lived in Wisconsin, lived in every part of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Eventually, that's way later. But what I've learned is, during that time is I just want to have stability of some sort.
Mm,
And I found that in just, getting my first job. It wasn't sales. I did that for a while and I just wanted to perform. And eventually I went from a couple jobs, but I ended up getting a Fortune 500 company. I started working there at a telecommunications company and just committed myself. And I thought that was it. That's like the American dream. I finally got where I wanted to be.
mhm.
And I moved quick. Like I was there 20 years. Yeah, right. 19, 20 years, 19 and a half. But, I was a director by 25, 26, something like that.
Wow.
And all the way up to 38. So
But that's so your journey started out like super rocky, unstable, but then to land, I mean, look, for anyone out there, I think the average age in that like demographic is closer to 30, and that's with a lot of lucky breaks.
yeah, yeah. And I was able to move quick. Like I said, I found a company that did not really see people with hard work. And I realized a lot of people are really lazy. So I'm like, all I have to do is just work hard and get to where I need to be. And it was great. Honestly, I mean, the money was great. Got myself a house at a very young age. I mean, I was doing pretty well before the director position. So I was able to, buy a brand new home at I think 20. Everything was going good. So that was to me the definition of American dream, I guess you could say. And
Yeah, amen.
yeah, and listen, I was bringing in, I don't remember, maybe $250,000 a year from this company from a very young age. And success was definitely there, but somewhere in around when I was 32-ish, I would
Mhm.
say, it kind of started changing. One thing, getting a family. And
That'll do it. That'll change.
yeah, so the American dream just kind of became American at that point. So it started wearing on me because it was a lot. Because as I became the director and they started expanding, I was traveling anywhere from Massachusetts down to Virginia. It was a huge area I had.
Mhm.
So I was never really home at the time. So being a husband's kind of tough. Plus having a kid later on, I started kind of getting to a point where I was getting drained. I had a lot of health issues. So I realized that success with money does not necessarily equal fulfillment at the time. And that's when I had to figure out what do I have to do to make a change because I was literally had anxiety. There were issues with my body. No, the doctors couldn't even tell you what it was. And ended up having to leave my job at the time because I just couldn't function.
It sounds like for this is I think for most people, I can even speak to athletes. That hard work and that just constant like embracing of the grind and being able to take on more and more pressure and stress, it got you to your original like goal of the American dream. But I
Hmm.
think as people mature and get older, it's like how do you take all of that energy and also maintain, I don't want to say work life balance because I'm a believer in work life integration, but reinvest that energy for more leverage so that you
Yeah.
can get more out for what you put in while still taking care of, like, feeding the machine, like taking care of your body and your spirit and your health. I'll tell you, met a lot of injured athletes as they get older with chronic pain, and it's because they played the game at 30 the same way they did at 20. So is that sort of the same the juncture that you were at too? You're like, this can't last for it can't be like this forever.
Yes, but I think also one thing I've learned that there's for everybody. I mean, if you're really in a situation where you're at a career and you feel unhappy, and even though you're successful, but you feel unhappy, I realize there's one thing that they're missing, and that's what I was missing, is the equal sign. There's this thing called the
Mm,
equal sign, and basically saying money equals happiness or money does not equal happiness. Whenever you put those two together, to me, I was like, well, money makes me happy. Great. Well, family makes me happy. Great. And it became like my identity, and that was all in. And a lot of those types of people, they think, no, I have to do this. That's what's going to, it's like they tie it together and then they do serve and they make millions a lot of times, but then they're miserable. So what I've learned is delete the equal sign. My happiness is one thing. Me making money is the difference. I want to make money because I want to make money, because it's fun,
mm.
because it's a goal. But I could still be happy even if it's not attached to it. And when I did that, when I kind of spread the two identities, said, yeah, I'm a dad. That's what makes me happy. I'm a husband. Great. But I'm still going to chase my dreams, but not attach the two together. And that kind of killed that burnout for me.
Honestly, that's an interesting frame, and it reminds me of one of the things I say every time I do a podcast is the pursuit of property, not the ownership of property. It's
Hmm.
chasing the goal. It's like the journey, it's the
Yep.
process of trying to get it and who you become along the way, not like the getting it. Like once and maybe I want to hear your perspective, but like once I made my first, substantial amount of money in a year, I actually felt deflated. I was like, this is it. I thought I was going to feel something more than this. Like, I guess I'm relieved, but, like, now what was the next feeling the day later? I was like,
I've had exactly the same feeling. I remember being in an event and somebody said in an event, they said, look, we live a life to, survive and things like that, which is important. But when you get to that level, there's two things you got to focus on to really get out of that. Was focus on growing yourself as a human, because that's part, it helps your soul, and contributing to others.
yeah.
And when I was at that point, that's what hit home to me. That's why I deleted the equal sign and said and told myself, what do I really want? Number one, to me, I realized I wanted to grow as a person. I want to do something different. But two, I enjoyed the biggest thing why I stayed for 20 years and loved it. I liked helping others. I like to develop others and see their life change. So I
Yes.
want without the BS of the corporate world. That was my goal, and I had to sit down and say, what do I want to do? And so that was the big identity shift for me.
Yeah, and it's funny because it seems like the more you help others, the more, whether it's God or whether it's other, people, society, community, the more they're likely to help you, right? It's
Hmm.
like, reciprocal altruism, you know?
Yep. Yeah. And it's like I said, and for me, like the money, all that stuff, that's like the side effect of helping people. That was the big thing for me. And that's why when eventually I did end up, not having the job, it took a lot out of me, a lot, to be able to leave a high paying position. In fact, they let me go because I was just non-functional and I lost my drive. But at the time, I was looking at doing something, and I tried different avenues, but eventually I did discover a certain way of trading where I could still have a life.
And you were trading while you're in, like, your director level was related to trading while you were in
No,
corporate?
so no, not at all actually. And that's what I was focused on.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, so being at and that's what really kind of, yeah, people have to be very careful when you're in a position that doesn't require trading, right? Which is most of us. Most people do not. They have a whatever. And if you're in a high responsibility position, people don't realize you're getting paid for performance. Like people don't get paid for what they do. People get paid for what they put up with. It's like you
Hmm.
might have a simple job. It may not be hard. Well, you got to go and motivate people. No, it's the BS that comes with it is why they pay you. So because
Interesting.
of that, they have a very good sense of, are you in it? And the minute you go into something totally different and it's not aligned with what you're doing, they'll feel it. And that's when you start and like, hey, what's going on with your numbers? What's going on with this? And that's why we stay to
Oh.
what we do. And that's why they call it the chains, the jail, because it's all good when you're motivated. It's great when it's the honeymoon phase. Everyone says it's great things. But the minute they feel like, whoa, 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 are you getting away from the zone where you're all in and but I want to try? Yeah, no. They'll say, yeah, 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 it's fine, but it's not because the
It,
numbers will show it.
it's a different type of what you grew up in. It's a different
Yes.
type of lack of freedom of speech, or the golden handcuffs are still handcuffs. How's that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's really it's a very tough place. And the worst is for those who are making money because they got you trapped. Well, put all your time in this career. How do you get out of it? You can't. So you stick with it in denial, thinking everything will be fine. This is what it was supposed to be, But somewhere subconsciously, it's not good. You know it's affecting your family. You know it's affecting your health, but you're gonna do it anyways because there's no way out. And
So then,
that's
when was there a moment in time where enough was enough? Because you had a quote that I actually loved, which is, "It's not you don't get paid for performance; you get paid for what you put up with."
mhm.
Was there a moment? You don't have to go into any detail if it's wrong or whatever, but like that you were like, "This is the time where enough's enough."
Yes, there was, and that's, and I'm the type of person, again, going back to my background is, I don't give up on anything. Like for me, that's like part of my identity. No. So for me, it was getting sick, going from doctor to doctor, realizing I'm constantly dizzy, can't focus. And what I tried to do is open up a sandwich shop, which
Okay.
and I know way out of it because I was so fed up with what I was doing. It's like, let me just try something so different. Bad idea. 50K later of a
Whoa.
loss. Yeah, it was terrible. But what I've learned from that is don't go into something that you know nothing about. You should know something about it. Eventually I had to go back to the same job, kind of like, okay.
Mm,
And I couldn't tell you I've had enough is enough because I had a kid. I was making money. I needed to stay there. So, and I tried trading in the past, day trading, things like that. Like that doesn't fit my lifestyle.
okay.
Eventually I've
Almost
learned
as
that
a hobby, as like a hobby, you were doing day
I was
trading.
doing this, yeah, like I was just trying something to
Yeah.
see what can I bring because I was making money, so I had money. How do I utilize it to make extra money?
Yeah.
And that's when I started. Eventually, after years of losing and things like that, I've learned that there's strategies out there that you don't have to sit in front of a screen. You literally take your phone, put in a trade, and you could actually make money up front. That's what really it's called, like selling strategies, where you're getting paid up front 8 to 10% with a 93% chance of winning. I'm like, okay, I like that. And it didn't affect my job.
Yeah. Who's going to Vegas when you got those odds, right?
Well, that's what I always say. And the thing is, people don't believe it. And they like,
Hmm.
and it's not like I could time the market perfectly. Like I'm not the super trader out there. I'm just a trader. I was a trainer. I'm a trainer who likes to trade, but it was easy to do. Once I learned it, it took me a little bit to learn it and understand it, but I had a mentor. They
Mm,
explained to me, look, you could do it. It's a simple strategy, but it's going to take you decades to get there, or I'll teach you how to do it. Take those decades, turn it into days, and we're good. And I started doing it. Eventually, I lost passion for what I was doing. I did lose my job, and it was right before COVID, I think, right before it happened. But that's when I started to be like, well, let me just do this trading thing. It's working. Why not? And that's how I got into that. Now, to me, the biggest thing with that was it was working. I was collecting money. I was fine, but there was something I did miss, and that was the growth, the contribution to others. Like I
yeah.
did miss that.
It's a very solitary pursuit, I guess it could be.
Yeah, yeah. So like, and again, trading is great, but it's very lonely. You're looking at numbers, and then I realized, you know what? I did lose my position, and I don't miss it. I really don't miss it at all, ever. But just the people factor. So it took me after about 6 to 8 months. I was doing the trading, and I'm like, I miss the trading world. I miss the development. I miss that. And that's when I was like, what if I develop something with this? Because the one thing I learned with trading, there's a lot of great traders out there, but they're not necessarily good trainers. They don't know how to
Mm.
break things down to the simplest form. They'll try to give you a strategy and say, here's a strategy for you. Go for it.
And
Bro,
then
I
the person
didn't
who
put a
has
stock
no
in.
experience has no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you know some traders you told me about. I guarantee you they stunk at it at some point and they took a lot of losses and they had to find their way. And that's usually when I listen to people who are successful, they don't They think like they forgot the basics. Like, dude, you sucked at this. Now you're telling somebody to do this strategy because it's easy for you, but it's not easy for them.
And I think that applies you said about training and coaching
Hmm.
and skill development. I'm sure that, my buddy who does trading at one
Yeah,
point was way worse at it than he is today. He's gotten way better with experience. But I think that what people don't understand and they get discouraged about, Vlad, and that you
yeah,
don't because of how you grew up is you were down to pay the price of hard work for however long it took. And it just happens you were able to buy a house at 23. But if you would have continued your work ethic, it would have happened eventually and you wouldn't have slowed down despite it being 25 versus 23. I think some people get discouraged. It doesn't happen soon enough or fast enough in their timeline. And it's like
yep,
you
mhm,
have to be willing to stink at a skill for as long as it takes you to stop stinking at the
yeah,
skill.
yeah. That's just, so you're right. And what happens is it actually gets pretty bad because I've seen a lot of people, a lot of our clients, they have the same story. I've tried it and I have the same story. But what happens is there's like, we call it the devil, like the enticement. Oh, you don't have to learn it. Here's an AI bot.
Uh,
Here's some signals for you. We'll do it for you. And all these little things that pop up. And for some reason, I don't see the news where, wow, the stock market has all these rich people. Those things don't really work. And not because the signals are bad. Like the people who do the signals, they're not bad people. Like they're not scammers. They mean well. But it's like me telling you, well, listen, this is how you play golf. Like, let me show you how to play golf. Here it is. You still, when you try to do it though, that's when you start learning. That's when the mistakes happen. And now nobody's there to help you. That's why people fail. So what we've learned is it doesn't take long if you have somebody there with you. Now, long could be
mm,
2 months, 3 months, 2 months to learn it, to get the foundation down. Because a lot of trading works, crypto, foreign, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what you're doing. But do you have the foundational knowledge that nobody gave you?
right. And for you, you were more drawn towards that than learning the foundational knowledge of sandwich shop artistry, right?
I wasn't passionate about it.
You
That was
weren't
out of
passionate about it.
emotion. That was out of an emotion. Yeah.
Yeah. But to your point, and I want to reiterate this. This reminds you of like my own podcast story. For those of you that don't know it, I started podcasting 8 years ago.
Hmm.
8 years for 7 years. I only had mm, maybe 35,000 plays across all channels, and I still did it. Like I still did it, like on average, two a month, every month on average, something like that. Maybe one a month when I was slow.
Yeah, you didn't stop.
Didn't stop. And then last year, I went from this channel from 25,000 plays to 375,000 plays, and I get to talk to people like Vlad. Instead of just who's local to me and who'll go on the show and like basically offer them
Gotta
free
put me
lunch to
to
be a
Hershey
guest.
Park, bro.
Yeah, bro. But the reason I bring that story up is to reiterate your point. It's like, what were the reasons why? I asked for help. I stopped trying to do it all by myself and make the same mistakes I didn't know from the outside looking in. Hey, you're making this mistake. So I got help. I took courses, got education, got into a community, and I just started like trying to observe like who's doing it better and taking notes on like what they're doing, what makes them better. That was really the biggest unlock. So if it works for me in podcasting and it worked for you in trading, anyone listening, do like just learn from other people, like reach out.
Yeah, and that's in anything. I mean, fitness. It doesn't matter what you're thinking. Health. Everything I've been doing. I mean, and that's how we. If you think about it, how did you become a human being when you grew up? We didn't. We had something. I don't know if you ever heard of this. It's called school.
Mm,
They have teachers. Like they don't just give you, hey, here's the book. We'll see you next year. Let me know how it goes. Write
right.
me a text. It doesn't work that way. The magic happens there, and that's how we're brought up. But now we're trying to say, no, no, no. Let me give you this. Part of it because the businesses don't either have the training or resources, or they're just not good teachers. And I'll
Because
tell
that's a skill too. Teaching's a skill.
well, that's the thing. People, I tell people all the time, I'm not the best trader in the world. Like, there's plenty of traders, I'm sure, kill it. I'm just a great trainer. I could break
Mm.
things down very simple. We've had clients who have cognitive issues, maybe take a little longer than maybe 30, 60 days, but they get it because it's very simple to understand. And if you don't, we'll keep teaching it to you. So it's, the
Hmm.
skill of trading is actually not, it's literally, you follow the steps. Like in our program, we have a guarantee. If you're not profitable, we give you a refund. That's in writing. The catch is you have to follow these
Yeah,
rules of the
if you
checklist.
listen, if you show up to class and you listen to us, yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And that's what it comes. If you're a good student and you have the right teacher, it works. But that's the difficult part. Like in podcasting, I'm sure there's a lot of good teachers out there. A lot of people do. I know great podcasters. So you have a lot of resources. In trading, a lot of people giving strategies out.
Interesting. So, okay. Now, what is like the core? There's a difference between strategy and like what you're doing. The word I'm looking for is disciplines. Like, what are
Yes.
some of the disciplines that people need,
Mhm.
without getting into the
Yeah.
technical
The
things
weeds.
that will increase their likelihood that you can make that guarantee?
So it comes down to number one, the big H word, which is humble. So you got to come into whatever you're doing and is you don't know anything. And whether you have experience, which a lot of people have experience, you got to come in. Like if I want to do podcasting and I want to learn from you, I know nothing about podcasting. If I start, but I heard this guy, bro, you came to me for a reason. So you kind of have to, I always tell people like, remember the movie Men in Black? Little red thing, like boop.
Hmm.
Like not doesn't mean you forget everything, but temporarily you're a student. You got to learn the philosophy. So that's number one, the ultimate discipline of being open-minded. Don't question anything during this process and let it all flow. Because sometimes you'll see me teach something like, no, 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 but what about that's I get it. It doesn't work here, it works here. And the other part is a lot of people they do get it and they'll start making money. Now the way we do it, it's a high percentage of win. Like as far as not profit, but you'll win like win. Like people have had 100 times that they don't lose, but they'll make like 8%, 10% each time. But here's the thing, this happened to me too. The false sense of confidence. Meaning
Mm.
after you get like 7 or 8 to 10 in a row, you kind of start not breaking the rules, but you're like, oh, this is a great trade. Okay, but did it follow all 6 steps?
Complacency. They get complacent.
They get complacent, but also they don't want to. Yeah, they're like, oh, well, what about this? What about
Mm.
that? Okay, this rule, that rule. So one thing we put in place is we go live every day with you. Every day there's somebody there with a community and a coach. Let's look at your plays. Let me show you my plays. We don't like signals because signals means do this because I told you to. Well, I came from a country like that. Like I want to know why. I want to know. Like tell me why you picked this play. So we show you explanation of hey, check out this play. This is why I like it. This is what it is. Do you agree? If you don't feel in your gut that you like it and say, yeah, because you have that foundation built, then you don't do it.
Mm.
Once you have the foundation, what happens is you build that sense of confidence. And when somebody tells you, hey, I have a signals, this, that, now you're not like, oh, should I try this? Should I try that? Because you know what's up. You have a certainty of what you're doing, which a lot of people are missing. So I would say being humble, number one, being a good student, and number two, don't get too cocky. Because those two things is big. As far as learning it, a lot of people are like, well, am I going to be smart enough? Yes. We haven't had anybody who, that's a big one. Like, well, I don't know, but I'm not good with numbers. Neither am I. Like, I was a trainer. Like, I'm okay with numbers. It has nothing to do with that. You don't have to watch the news. You don't have to do all that. There's patterns. You just practice the patterns and we use fake money. So you don't have to even worry. You'll see yourself doing it. And simple as that. It's just the psychology of trading repeated over and over again. It's another skill.
Yeah, but the thing you mentioned too is you've been doing it for a period of time with a specific way that you do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been years and years, and you've talked to many people about it too, right? Like I'm sure sometimes when those people in the very beginning were asking you questions, "Well, what about this?" You might have been like, let me think about that. But then you get a large enough data set of pattern recognition, which is why I think that people starting any skill or entrepreneurial thing or trading, whatever it is to make money, they don't realize that like you might have you might be the smartest person in the world, you might be the hardest working person in the world. But if you don't have a frame of reference of pattern recognition, you're going to make the wrong decision more often than you want to. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why pattern recognition comes from what you said, being humble, like open-minded, 2 ears, one mouth, and sticking with the program and doing the boring, I like to call it doing the boring work or following the rules for a long enough period of time.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the question you asked, very good question, right? What are the disciplines? Most traders will say, keep the emotions out.
Okay.
And which is true, but what I've learned is I don't know how to do that. I don't know any human that doesn't have emotion, and I've never met them. I've never
Hmm.
met any trader who's just like, yeah, yeah, don't get emotional in your trade. Don't get emotional in your trade. Bro, you get emotional in your trade. When you're seeing a loss in your trade, you're gonna be emotional. But if you learn the disciplines of being humble, understand the rules, what happens is when you really obsess over the rules and say, these are the rules he put in place, he gave me a guarantee. So obviously I know what I'm talking about. Utilize it. And then have enough confidence, especially when you're using fake money, like you're not losing anything, to see it work. Even when you're in a loss, a lot of times the loss, 85% of the time, the loss turns into a win anyways, but people hesitate
Hmm.
because they see a negative. Like I would say 75% of my trades start with a loss, but they're never a loss. It doesn't, it's just, it takes a little time because we're not day trading. Day trading, I consider like more of a gamble because what a gamble to me is you putting money into something like a casino. You're either gonna double it up or you lose it all. There's no in between. Investing is a lot different. Investing, you could put in a lot, still be in a loss, but it's okay because it's until you
Until you
decide
cash
to get
out.
right.
Right.
So patterns sometimes will be wrong initially, but we teach you how to get those things going. You're gonna have emotions, but here's the key. If you have the rules, the three things you really need to keep their emotions going. Number one, the proper way. You're not going to stop being emotional. We want to be able to control your emotions properly in the right direction. So number one, you need to obviously have the skill set and have confidence of the formula and the foundation. Two, you need to have a coach there to make sure you're doing the right thing so you feel good. And number three, a community of people who are like-minded, who could say, hey, we all agree you're doing the right thing, but I'm in a loss. Right. But look, I was in this loss. So you get those three pieces in play. That's how you become consistent. Because over the next couple months, when you have all those three things, everything comes together and you become solid.
And going back to your story of how you migrated here,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't hear when you're in Ukraine, well, you can't fly to the United States. Oh, I lose. That's a loss. You had to take a bunch of stops along the way that weren't United States, but there were steps that you had to go in the journey to get there. Same
Mm-hmm.
with business. I have worked with hundreds of businesses to help them grow. That's my goal is help them grow, right? Pretty simple. You know what happens very often, Vlad? For the
Mm.
first 30, 60, 90 days, we're changing a lot of their fundamental understandings on how they do sales and marketing or their whatever the problem is that we have to fix. So they might take a couple steps back or, oh, we're not getting as many leads or our last campaign did this and this one's not doing that. I'm like, give it time. And then usually around month 6 or not between month 6 to 12, then we get all these gains. And you don't get the gains until you unlearn the bad crap that you're doing before. So my question for you is, what are some of the bad habits or the bad disciplines that people come into your program that you have to make them unlearn?
Uh, I would say a lot of people are very hesitant. That's a big one because they've tried so many shortcuts and they're like, they believe like, oh, well, how do I know this is going to work? This is, it's another thing. So right away, they're closed-minded. So being closed-minded becomes a big factor. Like, well, any little thing we're teaching you and something doesn't go a certain way, it's like they shut down. So that's a big one. The other one is, like you said, patience is a big one. So they want right now the stock we get into it right now. They want to see it go up right away, right away. There's got to do it. No, because I've seen, people do it. Three expectations of getting things to the moon. So people talk about, yeah, man. You see these Reddit people, 150% profit in 3 minutes. And listen, it happens. We've had people, make 40 in a day, but that's luck. You can't guess the market. You could guess the direction, but to that extent, you just got lucky. So we don't even.
And they don't talk about all the times they lost 150% in a day either.
We do. We hear those people. We
Right.
get those people on the calls. They're
Right.
like, yeah, I thought I saw your Instagram. You made this, this, this. Yeah, but then I got hit by it. And we've had people get their money stolen from them. People like 900. We had a guy, a computer programmer. He lost $900,000 because somebody took his money because they told him, yeah, we'll make it for you. Don't worry. And they had like this machine that produced it. Like they gave him a platform. You could see his money. And he's like, I was up 185%. It wasn't real. It was just a platform that showed it to him. And one day it was gone. Like it was
Oh
they
my
just,
goodness.
yeah. And it was from another country. And it happens more. We've had, I would say maybe 9 scenarios I could think of people getting their money taken. So because, like you said, the weakness, the number one thing we have to teach people, I would say after and anything else, no shortcuts. Take the time to learn because at the end of the day, if you're in a position now and you're in a company, you're here for a reason. Do you want to keep going that route? Do you want to still be weak? Do you want to, eventually be 85 years old and just sick and thinking about what if? Or just take the next month or two, really learn a skill the proper way, and then make a decision what you want to do.
Yeah, that story you said about the kind of fugazi number and he kind of rug pulled and took his money. It reminds me of from a marketing agency standpoint, prior in my career, there was a time, I'm not kidding you, that there
Hmm.
were these what we call bot farms. So a lot of them were based in, like India or, Eastern Europe or wherever there was no recourse for a US citizen. You put your stuff in there, it's gone. And what they would do is make all of these like spam posts and linking to your website. And for SEO at the time, you would see clients going to the top of Google for, $1,000 a month and you're getting right in the top and it's great. And they're getting all these leads and it's working. And then what happened was because it's cheating, it's not real people or not, it's not actual PR. It's Fugazi. Then Google made an algorithm adjustment, and not only did they lose their spot where they were at before, they got de-indexed from Google, and you couldn't find the website at all. And then those
Oh, geez.
businesses went under. And it's there's a similarity in that lesson with both instances where it's like when you take the shortcut for the short term, like lucky approach or the trend at the time that you have no idea why it works, you can lose it all.
Yeah.
And your thing is we're trying to mitigate loss and increase the likelihood that you gain. And if you stick with it for a long enough time, you'll gain more and more. And
Yeah.
I have a similar approach with growing businesses and marketing
Yeah.
because compound interest.
Absolutely. And I would say, I know a lot of your listeners have jobs and careers, and there's a lot of people like that are very desperate to figure something out. So they get attracted, and there's predators out there that are saying, no, 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 we'll show you this magic, one signal, one this, one that, what it. And the people I help, unfortunately, most of the time, I would say 75%, they've been down that road and they're like, it didn't work. If you haven't been down that road, you're more attracted. Then I look like the ugly person. I'm like, what do you mean? I have to learn? Like, I got this guy who's going to give me a little robot. And so I
Mm.
always tell people, look, go that route then. Like, maybe you need to really understand what's out there. For some people, they're like proactive. No, no, no. I want to be a student. Most of those people are older, retired people because they've been down the road of different games. So they're like, no, 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 that's not for me. But people who are in their 30s, 20s, 40s, even 50s, they're like, no, 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 what's the fastest way? I could give you faster. I'm not promising you reliability though.
Right. You're not going to sign a guarantee for your money back on the
No.
fastest.
Listen,
Right.
we have a Better Business Bureau of A plus for a reason because we're not about that.
Yeah, and I think that's another interesting thing, and I'll make another correlation to marketing agencies. I see all the time other marketers, there's tons of them
I
that
can't
will
hear you.
say, "Hey, I'll give you 5 leads the next 30 days, or I'll do it for free. Oh, could you handle that?" And like, oftentimes, one, it sounds too good to be true because it probably is too good to be true. Because there's probably some fine print of like, "Oh, well, this person opened an email, which makes them a lead." Like, no, that's not a real "Hey, everybody, we're back. Sorry about the technical difficulty, and thank you to the podcast manager." We were just on this train of thought about the too good to be true oftentimes is, and there's usually a pitfall that people aren't aware of because 'cause they're wearing rose-colored lenses, while the systematic disciplined approach to either growing your trading experience and skills or your business growth is maybe less sexy, but more reliable. And that's why people like Vlad and I put our name on that offer. Vlad, I want to pivot from, we talked a lot about helping people and the lessons learned along the way, but I want to ask you, is there someone that you can think of, or maybe a couple people that were instrumental in teaching you as a mentor or gave you guidance that you model off of, or was it a wide variety?
I would say I try different approaches, and one thing I learned from all those approaches is that I need a system. So I'm gonna say that just kind of helped me understand. Like I've tried penny stocks, day trading, had somebody trade for me, tried YouTube University, tried different courses that were just video courses, and just left me with more questions and more madness. So I would say that there was one person who really got me going. It was through a company. They're not around anymore. The guy's name was Scott, and he was the one who really kind of explained to me the idea of how you could utilize this as an income and how you could have it more like a salary where if you're trading, you could click a button knowing, hey, I'm going to make $1,233.42. You'll know the exact amount coming into your account instantly when you click that button. and you manage it that way. That came from the one coach. He kind of took me under his wing. The system wasn't really there because he wasn't really a coach. He was more kind of doing me a favor. Some of my came from a cousin of mine in Chicago, so he was like trading there. But yeah, that's how we did it. We did it over the phone. We didn't even have, this was back, there was no Zoom. It was literally just, hey, just read a couple of these things I sent you. And it was hard on that end. He was a pretty decent, when he was explaining, but it was a lot of, like there was not a lot of resources, but that was the one person who kind of gave me the knowledge. Not really a step-by-step system because he wasn't that kind of guy. That's when I learned he's great. He was really good. I didn't understand what he was saying. I had to really put it down. It took me a while just to comprehend what he was saying.
But a lot of it was learning from trying all kinds of things, what not to do.
Yes.
Which I think is almost more important when you're building a system. It's like, well, you have too many variables. And if you can take them off the table because you're like, this is why you don't do this as part of the rule set, that's actually kind of huge. So
yeah, and I'll tell you this much too. Right after, because it's an interesting journey. Like beforehand, I was trying to find a way. Then he gave me a great foundation. It started working, but I guess I decided like, let me try other things. Now that this is working, let me try this, try that. And then you realize, wait, trading is kind of like similar. Like people like, man, if this doesn't work, let me do crypto. If this doesn't work, let me do forex. They keep jumping. They don't realize it's still going to get you to the same place. You're still going to realize there's losses if you don't know what you're doing. So I kind of realized, okay, I'm glad I'm here. I tried this, I tried that. Let me stick to this, what I know. And I don't really deviate much from that. Some people liked it to try futures, things that I just stick to trading options because that's what I've learned. That's what it works for me.
So I want to ask you a high level. It's my favorite part of the show, or we're near the end. Just leave a question, ask a question. So my last guest has this question for you, which is, how are you going to challenge the next generation to carry to move society forward after we retire?
How am I personally going to do it?
Yeah. How are you going to challenge the next generation, whether that's your own children or, the younger crowd, to help move society forward?
I think the big thing is going to be for me, from what the resources I provide and the power I have, I guess, because that's what you're talking from my end, is showing people that the power starts with understanding the basics, no matter what it is. And no matter, take anything that we struggle with, whether it's health or anything, break it down to the simplest form if you can, and don't master it. Don't get away from it. So if it's trading, great. If it's you want to be an attorney, great. Understand the basics, take the time to learn it, and when it gets tough, double down. And my thing is, I'm
Love
going to
that.
show you everything I've done. I've always liked the way I learned it is break it down in simplest form. Same thing with stocks. Like I said, knowledge is out there. You could go and find everything I teach somewhere. You got to put it together and do it, or break it down, make it simple in one piece. And you could do it with anything. I'm just using trading as my vehicle to do that. But you could do it with literally anything that you want to do, podcasting, whatever. Have the proper formula and don't take any shortcuts.
That's a good challenge. And what question do you have for my next guest?
For your next guest, I don't know which guest it is.
Correct. That's some of the fun.
Okay. Well, if let's just say your next guest, whatever he's doing to be successful, right? And he's really, really, whatever it is, he obviously shows success. How are you going to not just provide the success for your next generation, I guess, or the people you're helping, but actual fulfillment in life as well? How do you do both of that? Because some people, you could be successful at something and it could be great, but how do you also help the soul and actually really, really align with that?
Yeah, I think that's a question that everyone listening should think about and ask, because it's like, be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you don't want to do, and I've learned this and I've seen it from others, is you can get all the material success in the world. There's plenty of people that have made a lot of money, but it's more rare to find people that have made a lot of money and are really happy and fulfilled with their life. And in the same token, people, for those of you listening that, you found us and you love your job, great. Like, do what, like, then you've made it. You've won without having to take all the extra steps. This conversation that Vlad and I have is for those that are listening that don't love their job, don't love where you're at. And my only ask to you guys is share this with a friend if you think it'll help. Vlad, One
Okay,
more
can I just
question.
add something real quick before
Go
we go
ahead.
into that? Because I think that's what you just said is really, really important. I want to make sure you guys understand, like, because when you're in that world of the job, you're thinking, if I could learn how to trade, that's it. I don't want that for people. I don't want you to become a trader. All what I'm trying to do is give you a vehicle that you could use to take it to the next level for you to do something you actually love to do. So I always challenge people, try to find something you love to do that and it's going to motivate you. Write it down. Like I used to like write down 100 things that I want, not that I need, just because it'll expand my mind, get obsessed, and then it'll push me to do those things. Because that's really what's going to make it consistent is that passion. But go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
No, just one last question. It's not super deep. Is where can people connect with you, learn more, keep in touch?
Well, I actually did a little research on your podcast. I really like the people you have. So what I did is I actually put a little gift together specifically just for your listeners. So I'll give you a website for that. They'll be able to get my strategy, join my community of mine. I'll go live once a week there, no charge at all. They could get a feel of what we do, and there's going to be a full course there for them as well that they could take. I'll give you the website. It's going to be specifically for people in the Thunderstock podcast.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Vlad. And thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, don't run ads in the show. The only way the show grows is by you sharing it with someone that finds value. So until then, next time, be well. Thanks.